The Grand Council chamber stretched wider than any stadium on Earth. Ambassador Victoria Hayes stood in the center, surrounded by a circular wall of alien faces that rose into the shadows above. 3,000 species watched her with eyes that varied from compound clusters to single glowing orbs. The air hummed with translation devices, converting her words into languages humans had never heard before. This was humanity's first appearance before the full Galactic Council. Victoria had expected it to be historic. She had not expected it to be an accusation. The Council Prime stood on the highest platform. Her name was Velmuth, and her species looked like upright mantises covered in silver scales. 6 eyes focused on Victoria with an intensity that made the human ambassador's skin crawl. When Velmuth spoke, her voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. Earth stands, accused of violating Protocol 7 of the Interstellar Accord. Your species placed an undocumented agent on the personal vessel of Emperor Drathsil for 73 years. This constitutes espionage against the most powerful military force in 5 galaxies. Victoria felt her heart pound. Earth had made first contact with aliens only 80 years ago. The idea that humanity had placed someone on the Emperor's ship before that was impossible. Council Prime, there must be a mistake, Victoria said, keeping her voice steady. Earth has never sent anyone to serve on Imperial vessels. We wouldn't have had the capabilities 73 years ago. A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the chamber. It showed an elderly human man walking through metallic corridors. He wore simple maintenance coveralls and carried cleaning equipment. The timestamp on the footage read, 50 years in the past. This is Marcus Webb, Velmuth announced. Human. Born on Earth in the year 2087. He worked as a maintenance technician aboard the Eternity's Crown. It's the Emperor's personal dreadnought for 7 decades. Yesterday, at the age of 94, he resigned. He walked into the Emperor's throne room, handed him a data chip, and disappeared. The hologram changed to show Marcus Webb standing before a massive, crystalline being. Emperor Drathsil towered over the old man, his body pulsing with inner light. The footage had no sound, but Victoria could see Marcus's hand over a small device and then walk away. What was on the chip? Victoria asked, though she dreaded the answer. The Emperor himself materialized as a hologram in the chamber. His form sparkled like living diamond, and his voice resonated like grinding glaciers. Everything. 73 years of observations, my security protocols, fleet movements, classified weapon designs, diplomatic communications that could topple governments. But most troubling, Marcus Webb knew things about my ancient arsenal that even I did not know. He bypassed quantum encryption that should be mathematically impossible to crack. Victoria's mind raced. If this was true, it meant humanity had been running an intelligence operation before they even had interstellar capability. But how and who authorized it? The Emperor continued, his voice growing darker. When my security teams reviewed the departure footage, they found something that terrifies me. The hologram zoomed in on Marcus Webb's identification badge. The image enhanced, showing layers of information invisible to normal sensors. Glowing letters appeared across the badge. Special Directive Earth Intelligence Division.
Classification.
Beyond Cosmic. A murmur rippled through the 3,000 assembled species. Victoria heard the translations overlap into a wave of confusion and concern. I did not know Earth possessed intelligence divisions, the Emperor said quietly. I did not know your classification levels exceeded our cosmic clearance. And I certainly did not know that a simple maintenance worker could carry technology that made him invisible to every scanner in my arsenal. Your species has deceived us since the moment we met. Victoria's tablet vibrated against her wrist. She glanced down at an encrypted message from Earth's government. We didn't send him. Find out who did. So Earth's leadership didn't know about Marcus Webb either. This was getting worse by the second. Emperor Drathsil, Victoria said, projecting confidence she didn't feel. I assure you that Earth's government had no knowledge of this operation. If Marcus Webb was conducting intelligence gathering, he was operating without official sanction. Then you admit he is human? Velmuth interjected. I admit the footage shows someone who appears human. But we need to verify his identity and determine how this happened. The Emperor's holographic form pulsed with barely contained anger. You have 48 hours to produce Marcus Webb and provide a full explanation. If you fail, Earth will face economic sanctions that will cripple your fledgling interstellar trade. Your species will be isolated until we determine you are not a threat. The transmission ended and the Emperor's hologram vanished. Victoria stood alone in the center of the chamber as 3,000 alien species whispered among themselves. She could feel their suspicion like a physical weight. Velmuth spoke again. This session is adjourned. Ambassador Hayes, you will remain on this station until the matter is resolved. Your movements will be monitored. Victoria returned to her quarters with her 3-person team. Commander James Ortega was Earth's military attaché, a veteran of the Defense Forces with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Dr. Yuki Tanaka specialized in alien psychology and had helped negotiate Earth's first trade agreements. Raven Blackwood worked in intelligence analysis, her job to spot patterns and threats before they became crises. "This is bad," Ortega said, as soon as the doors sealed behind them. "If Webb really has been spying for 70 years, every species in the Council will see us as a threat." Yuki pulled up her datapad and began searching Earth's records. Marcus Webb, born 2087, but that's where it gets strange. There's no record of him before 2098. No birth certificate, no family registry, no medical records. He just appears in the system at age 11 as an orphan. "How does someone not exist for their first 11 years?" Raven asked, already typing commands into her portable terminal. "Unless he wasn't from Earth originally," Ortega suggested. "No, he's human," Yuki insisted. "The genetic markers in the Council's scan match Earth baseline DNA. But look at this." She projected an image in the air. His employment application to the Eternity's Crown says he was 21 years old. He listed no family, no education beyond basic skills, and no work history. The Emperor's staff hired him anyway. Raven's terminal beeped. Her face went pale. "I found something. Marcus Webb's DNA isn't in any Earth civilian registry, but it pings against a classified military file from the 2090s. The file is called Project Looking Glass, and it's sealed under the highest security clearance. Only the Secretary General can access it." "What kind of project needs that level of secrecy?" Ortega demanded. Before anyone could answer, Victoria's communicator chirped with an emergency channel override. A text message appeared. "Stop looking into Project Looking Glass. That's an order. Deny everything about Webb. He was an unauthorized operation." Victoria stared at the message. Earth's government wanted her to lie to the Galactic Council. To deny Marcus Webb was a sanctioned agent. But that would leave an elderly man exposed and vulnerable. Hunted by every species in the galaxy, she made a decision that would change everything. "No," she said aloud. "We're not abandoning him. If Marcus Webb spent 70 years doing something, I want to know why. And I want to know what Project Looking Glass is." Raven continued digging through encrypted files. Yuki pulled up every image of Marcus Webb from the Council's evidence. Ortega began analyzing the implications for Earth's military position, and none of them noticed the small surveillance device in their quarters, transmitting everything they said to someone watching from the shadows of the station. Raven. Blackwood worked through the night, her fingers dancing across holographic keyboards as she pieced together fragments of Marcus Webb's impossible history. Commander Ortega brought her coffee every hour, while Dr. Yuki Tanaka cross-referenced alien databases with Earth archives. Ambassador Victoria Hayes paced the quarters, knowing that somewhere in the station, Galactic Council security watched their every move. "I found him," Raven said suddenly, her voice tight with disbelief. "Marcus Webb appears in 17 different historical recordings of Earth's first contact with aliens. He's always in the background, always wearing maintenance uniforms, always peripheral." She projected the images in sequence. There was Marcus Webb standing behind the official delegation when Earth signed the Trade Compact in 2103. Another image showed him cleaning windows in the background during the Fleet Agreement ceremony of 2115. And a third photo from the Emperor's state visit to Earth in 2128. Marcus was visible mopping floors behind the press conference. "He looks exactly the same in all of them," Yuki whispered. 25 years between the first and last image, and he hasn't aged a day. Ortega leaned closer to the projections. "That's impossible. Even with modern medicine, people age. But he looks identical across 3 decades. Not 3 decades, Raven corrected grimly. "I found footage from Earth's first crewed warp drive test in 2092, 9 years before official first contact." She displayed a grainy video of scientists celebrating around a primitive engine. In the corner of the frame, partially obscured by equipment, stood a young man who looked exactly like Marcus Webb. "He was there before we even met Alien." Victoria breathed. "How?" The communicator in their quarters chirped. An unknown contact wanted to establish a secure channel. Victoria hesitated, then accepted. A data package downloaded automatically. It contained a single video file and a note written in actual ink on paper, photographed and digitized. The handwriting was neat and precise. "By now you know I don't age normally. You're wondering what I am. Wrong question, Victoria. Ask instead, who sent me, and why did they need 73 years? Watch the video. Then decide if you're brave enough to tell the truth." The message was signed simply, Marcus Webb. Victoria looked at her team. "Play it." The video showed a military facility on Earth. The date stamp reading 2091. Scientists in white coats surrounded a massive device that looked like a telescope merged with a quantum computer. The label on the machine read, Temporal Observation Array Project, Looking Glass. Scientist spoke to the camera, her voice clinical and detached. Project Looking Glass isn't about looking into space. It's about looking forward in time. 61 years from now, aliens will discover Earth. We've seen them. We've seen the Galactic Council, the Emperor's fleets, the trade networks, the power structures. And we've seen that humanity will be crushed if we approach interstellar politics blind. The camera panned to show a young Marcus Webb standing among the scientists. He wore a military uniform with no insignia or rank markers. Another voice spoke, belonging to a general whose face remained off camera. "The probability simulations are clear. Without intervention, humanity has a 97.3% chance of being enslaved or destroyed within 50 years of first contact. We need eyes inside their power structures. We need someone who can survive long enough to learn everything about them and report back." The video cut to Marcus lying on a medical table. Lights danced across his body as scientists monitored dozens of screens. A doctor explained the procedure. Biological stasis fields, combined with genetic stabilization, Subject Webb will age approximately 1 year for every 10 standard years. Cognitive enhancement packages will allow perfect memory retention and accelerated learning. Psychological conditioning for deep cover insertion lasting multiple decades. Marcus sat up after the procedure, looking directly at the camera. "I understand the mission. I'll be alone for most of a century. I'll watch humanity grow from the shadows. I'll learn everything about our future allies and enemies. And when the time is right, I'll ensure Earth has every advantage we need to survive." The general's voice returned. "Son, you're volunteering to sacrifice your life for a species that won't even know you exist. Are you certain?" Marcus smiled. "I'm certain, sir. Someone has to be humanity's ghost in the machine." The video showed more footage. The facility's quantum computer displayed probability maps. One simulation showed Earth's future without intervention. Cities burning. Human populations in chains. Earth's resources stripped by alien corporations. The probability, 97.3%. Another simulation showed Earth's future with Marcus Webb embedded in the Emperor's infrastructure. Humanity surviving, thriving, growing strong. The probability, 81.6%. "Those odds were worth one man's lifetime," Marcus said in voiceover as the video ended. "I lived among them, learned from them, and slowly, carefully prepared humanity for the real galaxy." The quarters fell silent. Victoria felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. "He's been protecting us for 70 years, Yuki said softly. "Everything we think we built on our own, he helped engineer. The technology transfers. the trade agreements, the diplomatic relationships. He was there for all of it, making sure we survived. Ortega pulled up military records on his datapad. His expression darkened. Our fleet strength has increased 340% in the last 15 years. I always thought our engineers were geniuses. But look at this. He showed them technical specifications. These core designs match maintenance reports that Marcus Webb filed aboard the Eternity's Crown. He's been feeding us their technology, disguised as our own innovations, which means Earth's military isn't 70 years behind the Council anymore, Raven realized. We're maybe 10 years behind, and in some areas, we might actually be ahead. Victoria's communicator chirped again. This time it was a direct call from Emperor Drathsul himself, bypassing the Council's official channels. Ambassador Hayes, the Emperor's voice resonated with urgency. I need to speak with Marcus Webb immediately. Not through your government, through you personally. There are events happening in my empire that only make sense if he's telling the truth. What events? Victoria asked. 2 days ago, 3 of my most trusted admirals died in accidents. Yesterday, my chief intelligence officer disappeared. This morning I reviewed old messages from Marcus that I dismissed as paranoia. He warned me months ago. He told me exactly who would die and when. Victoria felt ice form in her stomach. What else did he say? That Council Prime Velmuth is not who she claims to be. That the real Velmuth died 40 years ago and was replaced by something else. And that, in 72 hours during the Grand Summit, this imposter will activate a weapon designed to kill every leader in the galaxy simultaneously. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. He says humanity is the only species that knows it's coming, the Emperor continued, and that you're the only ones who can stop it. Victoria looked at her team. They all understood what this meant. Marcus Webb hadn't just been gathering intelligence. He'd been preparing humanity for a threat that the rest of the galaxy didn't even know existed. Where is he now? Victoria asked. Another message appeared on her tablet. Coordinates in Earth's solar system. A location in the asteroid belt that supposedly contained nothing but rocks and ice. Omega Outpost, Raven breathed, recognizing the coordinates. It's been in our classified files since 2094, but nobody knows what it is. The access codes are restricted to a handful of people. Marcus wants us to come there, Victoria said. He wants to show us something. It could be a trap, Ortega warned. Or it could be the only chance we have to save the galaxy, Yuki countered. Victoria made her decision. Get us transport. We're going to Omega Outpost. And we're bringing the Emperor with us. The journey to Omega Outpost took 6 hours through Earth's solar system. Ambassador Victoria Hayes sat in the transport ship's command deck, watching the asteroid belt grow larger through the view screen. Beside her, Emperor Drathsul's crystalline form pulsed with anxious light. His personal guard of 20 elite soldiers filled the cargo bay, weapons ready for anything. Commander Ortega piloted the ship personally, not trusting autopilot for a mission this sensitive. Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored communications, making sure no council ships followed them. Raven Blackwood analyzed the sensor data coming from their destination, and what she found made no sense. There's a gravity well ahead that shouldn't exist, Raven reported. It's masking something huge. The asteroids in this region are positioned in a defensive pattern. This isn't natural. As they approached the coordinates Marcus Webb provided, the gravity well flickered and disappeared. What it revealed made everyone on the command deck gasp. Omega Outpost hung in space like a mechanical moon. The station stretched 5 kilometers across, bristling with weapon emplacements, shield generators, and docking bays. Dozens of warships surrounded it, sleek vessels that combined human design aesthetics with alien technology. Their hulls bore Earth's insignia. But the ships themselves looked decades more advanced than anything in humanity's official fleet. How long has this been here? The Emperor demanded. Since 2094, according to the records, Victoria said, her voice barely above a whisper. 3 years after Project Looking Glass began. Humanity built this before we even made first contact with aliens. A docking bay opened in the station's side, and a guidance beam locked onto their transport. Ortega followed it in, landing the ship in a hangar that could hold 50 vessels twice their size. As the airlocks cycled, Victoria saw something that made her heart race. Human and alien workers moved through the hangar together. Scientists in Earth uniforms consulted with beings from species Victoria recognized from the Council. Engineers from at least 6 different worlds collaborated on ship repairs. This wasn't just a military base. It was a joint operation. How is this possible? Yuki whispered. Earth isn't supposed to have diplomatic relationships this deep. Marcus Webb waited for them at the bottom of the landing ramp. At 94 years old, he stood straight and calm, dressed in a simple gray uniform that bore no rank or insignia. His eyes were sharp and clear, taking in every detail of the Emperor's Guard formation and Victoria's team positioning. Ambassador Hayes, Emperor Drathzel, welcome to humanity's best-kept secret. Please, follow me. We have much to discuss and very little time. They walked through corridors lined with advanced technology. Victoria recognized quantum computers, plasma conduits, and weapon systems that Earth supposedly hadn't invented yet. But more than that, she saw evidence of long-term habitation, living quarters, recreation areas, hydroponic gardens, growing Earth vegetables and alien plants side by side. You've been running this facility for over a century, the Emperor observed. How many people know about it? Currently, about 2,000 humans and 500 aliens from 17 different species, Marcus replied. Most of Earth's government doesn't know we exist. The Council certainly doesn't. We've been operating in the shadows, preparing for the day we'd need to save the galaxy. He led them to a command center that made Earth's military headquarters look primitive. Holographic displays showed real-time data from across 5 galaxies. Tactical maps tracked fleet movements. Intelligence reports scrolled across dozens of screens, and in the center of it all, a massive holographic display showed a 3-dimensional map of the Galactic Council, quarters with a pulsing red dot beneath the Grand Summit Chamber. This is the quantum resonance device, Marcus explained. It's been under construction for 40 years. It's built by infiltrators who took over key positions in the Council's infrastructure. In 60 hours, during the Grand Summit, it will activate and emit a frequency that's fatal to every species in the chamber except the infiltrators themselves. Ortega studied the tactical display. How do you know this? Marcus smiled sadly. Because I spent 73 years watching, listening, piecing together a conspiracy that started before I was born. The Velmuth species evolved on a world near a dimensional rift. 60 years ago, something came through that rift. It killed the real Council Prime and wore her body like clothing. Since then, it's been positioning itself to take control of the entire galaxy. Yuki's scientific mind raced ahead. If this entity can possess bodies, how many others are there? Marcus pulled up a list on the holographic display. 47 names appeared, each belonging to high-ranking council members from different species. 47 confirmed infiltrators, possibly more. They've been patient, working for decades to consolidate power, and now they're ready to make their move. The Emperor's form pulsed with anger and fear. Why didn't you tell the Council? Why keep this secret? Because I couldn't prove it without exposing myself. And the moment I did that, I'd be eliminated before I could warn anyone. I needed Earth to be strong enough to act as a counterweight, strong enough to survive what comes next. That's why I fed you technology. That's why I manipulated events to strengthen humanity's position. I was buying time. Victoria looked at the elderly man who had sacrificed his entire life for this moment. What do these infiltrators want? Marcus pulled up another display, showing the dimensional rift near Velmuth's homeworld. They're scouts. The entity that came through 60 years ago was testing our universe, seeing if it could survive here. It sent the signal back that we're suitable for colonization. In 3 days, when the galaxy's leadership is dead and the infiltrators control the power vacuum, they'll open the rift fully and let the rest of their kind through. An invasion, Ortega said grimly. A harvest, Marcus corrected. They don't want to conquer us. They want to consume us. Every species, every world, every life form in 5 galaxies. And only humanity knows they're coming because I spent 7 decades preparing you for this exact moment. The Emperor turned to Victoria. Can Earth stop them? Victoria looked at Marcus, then at the command center with its advanced technology and joint human-alien crews. She thought about the probability curves from the Project Looking Glass video. 97% chance of extinction without intervention. 81% chance of survival with Marcus Webb's preparations. We can try, she said. But we'll need your help, Emperor. Earth can't fight the entire council alone. You won't be alone, a new voice said. A holographic figure appeared beside Marcus. It showed an alien Victoria didn't recognize, with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like oil on water. I am Ambassador Krell of the Thuvian Collective. My people were approached by Marcus Webb 15 years ago. He showed us evidence of the infiltration. We've been preparing alongside Earth ever since. More holograms appeared. Representatives of 6 different species, all secretly allied with humanity against the infiltrators. We call ourselves the Shadow Coalition, Krell continued. Species that Marcus identified as clean, free from infiltrator influence. Together, we've been building a resistance movement that the Council doesn't know exists. The Emperor looked at the assembled representatives, then at the military might visible, through the command center's windows. Earth's fleet, combined with ships from 6 allied species, all armed with weapons designed to fight an enemy the rest of the galaxy didn't believe existed. Right. You've been planning a coup. The Emperor said. We've been planning a rescue, Marcus corrected. The Grand Summit happens in 60 hours. The infiltrators will activate their weapon. We're going to stop them, expose them, and show the galaxy that Earth isn't a threat. We're its best defense. Victoria felt the weight of the decision ahead. Earth would be revealing itself as a major power, showing that humanity had been operating covertly for decades. It would shatter the Council's trust. It might start a war. But the alternative was letting the infiltrators kill every leader in the galaxy and open a dimensional rift to unleash horrors from beyond their universe. She asked. Marcus pulled up a tactical plan that showed ship movements, infiltration routes, and combat scenarios. We hit them during the Grand Summit. The Emperor gives a speech exposing the conspiracy. The infiltrators will panic and activate their weapon early. That's when we strike. Earth's fleet crashes through the ceiling. Shadow Coalition forces secure the chamber, and we shut down the quantum resonance device before it kills everyone. It's insane, Ortega said. It's the only plan that has a chance of working. Marcus replied, The Emperor made his decision. I'll do it. I'll give the speech. But Ambassador Hayes, your species will be changed forever after this. Earth will no longer be the young newcomer learning to navigate galactic politics. You'll be a major power whether you want to be or not. Victoria thought about Marcus Webb, who gave up his life to protect a species he'd never truly been part of. She thought about the 2,000 humans on this station who'd been preparing in secret for decades. She thought about the probability curves and the choice between extinction and survival. Then it's time for humanity to step into the light. She said the 60 hours before the Grand Summit passed in a blur of preparation. Marcus Webb coordinated from Omega Outpost's command center while Ambassador. Victoria Hayes and her team returned to the Council station to avoid suspicion. Emperor Drathsel prepared his speech, choosing every word carefully to expose the infiltrators without causing complete chaos. But the infiltrators weren't idle either, Raven. Blackwood detected the attack 3 hours before the summit. 20 warships dropped out of hyperspace near Omega Outpost. Their configurations unlike anything in the Council's official fleet. The ships broadcast a message in Council Prime Velmath's voice, but with an underlying resonance that sounded wrong to human ears. Marcus Webb, you've hidden well for 70 years, but we've known about you for the last decade. We couldn't touch you while you hid behind the Emperor's protection, but now you've isolated yourself. Surrender immediately, or we'll destroy your station and everyone aboard." Commander Ortega rushed to Omega Outpost's weapon stations. The defensive crews scrambled to combat positions. Human and alien soldiers worked side by side, their training evident in how smoothly they moved. Marcus stood in the command center, calm as ice. "This is what we prepared for. Show them what happens when humans are backed into a corner." The first enemy ship fired, its energy beams striking Omega Outpost's shields. The barrier held, but barely. These weren't standard Council weapons. They were designed specifically to overwhelm defensive systems. "Turn fire," Marcus ordered. Earth's ships launched from the docking bays like hornets from a disturbed nest. They didn't fly in neat formations like Council vessels. Instead, they swarmed and scattered. Using tactics borrowed from ancient Earth's naval warfare and modern fighter jet combat, they were unpredictable, aggressive, and terrifying. The Emperor watched from his flagship, which had moved to support Omega Outpost. One of his guards spoke in awe and horror. "They fight like animals. No formation discipline. No standardized tactics." "No," the Emperor corrected. "They fight like survivors. Like a species that spent its entire evolutionary history being hunted and learning to hunt back." An Earth destroyer took critical damage from an enemy dreadnought. Instead of retreating, the human captain did something no Council species would consider. He accelerated directly toward the enemy ship, ramming it at full speed. Both vessels exploded in a cascade of fire and debris, but the sacrifice opened a gap in the enemy formation. 3 more Earth ships poured through the opening, their weapons tearing into the enemy from close range. They moved like sharks, striking fast and hard before breaking away. "They're willing to die to win," the Emperor breathed. "Every single one of them." Marcus monitored the battle with decades of experience reading tactical displays. Humanity learned a long time ago that survival sometimes requires sacrifice. We didn't climb to the top of Earth's food chain by being cautious. The battle raged for 20 minutes. Earth's fleet was smaller, but their pilots fought with a ferocity that shocked the infiltrators. They used debris fields as weapons, ramming wreckage into enemy shields. They feigned system failures to lure enemies close, then detonated nuclear devices at point-blank range. But the infiltrators had superior numbers, and Omega Outpost was taking damage. Hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. Power conduits overloaded. Medical bays filled with wounded soldiers from 6 different species. Marcus made a decision. "Activate the Looking Glass Array." "Sir, we've never tested it at full power," an operator protested. "The probability displacement could tear a hole in space-time, or it could save us." "Do it." The massive device at Omega Outpost's core powered up, drawing energy from every system on the station. Reality rippled around the facility as the temporal observation array reached full capacity suddenly. The infiltrator ships began malfunctioning. Weapons fired at empty space where Earth ships had been microseconds ago. Navigation systems locked onto false trajectories. Sensors showed multiple contradictory readings. Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched from her station and understood what Marcus had done. "You're not predicting their movements. You're feeding them false futures. They're targeting computers, think they can see 2 seconds ahead," Marcus explained. "But we're showing them lies. They're fighting ghosts while our real ships kill them." The tide turned. Earth's fleet, guided by real-time data, while the enemy struggled with false information, systematically destroyed the infiltrator vessels. Within 10 minutes, 15 of the 20 ships were debris. The remaining 5 fled into hyperspace, but Marcus knew this was only the beginning. That was a scouting force. The real battle happens at the Grand Summit. We need to move now. The combined fleet of Earth, the Emperor's personal ships, the Shadow Coalition raced toward the Galactic Council headquarters. Victoria received a message from Marcus as they traveled. "When we arrive, you'll see things that will change how you view humanity forever. We're not the peaceful newcomers the Council thinks we are. We're warriors who learn to disguise ourselves as diplomats. Remember that when you're judging what we've done." The Grand Summit Chamber filled with 3,000 species. Their representatives gathering for what they believed would be a routine policy meeting. Council Prime Velmoth watched from her elevated platform, her 6 eyes scanning the crowd with predatory patience. Emperor Drathsul entered the chamber. The assembled species fell silent. His crystalline form glowed brighter than usual as he approached the speaking platform. "Honored delegates," he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the massive room. "I come before you to reveal a truth that will shake our civilization's foundations. For decades, we have been infiltrated by a hostile force. I will not name them. Instead, I will let them identify themselves." He activated a holographic display that showed every piece of evidence Marcus Webb had gathered over 70 years. The files documented 47 infiltrators, their movements, their communications, and their conspiracy to eliminate the galaxy's leadership. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species shouted accusations at each other. Some demanded proof. Others called for immediate action against Earth for conducting unauthorized espionage, and then the infiltrators revealed themselves. Energy weapons appeared from hidden compartments throughout the chamber. The 47 infiltrators opened fire on nearby delegates, killing dozens in seconds. Council Prime Velmoth's form rippled and changed, her body distorting into something nightmarish. Living shadow wrapped around crystalline bones that bent at impossible angles. "You think you've won?" The creature that had been Velmoth hissed, its voice echoing from multiple dimensions. "Foolish young species. You've only hastened your extinction." The quantum resonance device beneath the chamber activated ahead of schedule. Reality tore open in the center of the room as a dimensional rift formed. Something massive began pushing through from the other side. An entity so vast and alien that several delegates collapsed from simply perceiving it. Victoria's communicator crackled with Marcus's voice. "Now, Ambassador, show them what humanity can do." The ceiling of the Grand Summit chamber exploded inward. Earth's fleet dropped through the opening, their weapons already firing. Human soldiers in powered armor rappelled down cables, moving with lethal efficiency. The Shadow Coalition ships followed, their combined firepower overwhelming the infiltrators' defenses. The Grand Summit became a battlefield. Delegates dove for cover as energy beams scorched the air above them. Earth's soldiers moved through the chaos like dancers, their training evident in every precise movement. And in the center of it all, the dimensional rift pulsed with malevolent energy as something ancient and terrible prepared to enter their universe. The battle in the Grand Summit chamber lasted less than 5 minutes, but it felt like hours. Commander Ortega led Earth's ground forces with brutal efficiency, clearing sections of the chamber while protecting cowering delegates from 3,000 species. The Shadow Coalition ships provided covering fire from above, their weapons cutting through infiltrator defenses. The creature that had pretended to be Council Prime Velmoth fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Its body shifted between dimensions, making it nearly impossible to target. Energy weapons passed through it harmlessly. Physical projectiles bent around it as though reality itself protected the thing. But humanity had prepared for this. Dr. Yuki Tanaka activated a device she'd been carrying since leaving Omega Outpost. The quantum resonance detector locked onto the creature's dimensional signature and broadcast it to every Earth soldier in the chamber. Their weapons adjusted automatically, firing at angles that seemed nonsensical but actually targeted the creature's position. Across multiple dimensions simultaneously, the entity screamed, a sound that made several species' ears bleed. It solidified enough for conventional weapons to harm it, and within seconds, Earth soldiers concentrated their fire. The creature that had ruled the Galactic Council for 40 years collapsed into ashdot, but the dimensional rift continued to grow. The quantum resonance device beneath the chamber pulsed with increasing energy, tearing reality open wider with each passing second. Something massive pushed through from the other side. And Ambassador Victoria Hayes could feel its hunger like a physical presence. She activated her communicator. "Marcus, the device is still active. We need to shut it down now." Marcus Webb's voice came back, calm and steady. "Already working on it, Ambassador. But this is going to require something the galaxy has never seen before. Tell the Emperor to order everyone back. Things are about to get strange. Victoria relayed the message. The Emperor commanded all forces to retreat to the chamber's edges. Earth soldiers formed a protective perimeter around the delegates while the creature from beyond dimensions continued emerging from the rift on Omega Outpost, hundreds of light years away. Marcus stood before the looking-glass array and did something he'd been planning for 70 years. He activated the device at maximum power, drawing energy from every system on the station. The lights dimmed. Life support stuttered. Every non-essential function shut down as all available power channeled into the massive temporal observation device. Reality around the station bent and twisted. The looking-glass array, designed to observe possible futures, suddenly became something else entirely. Marcus had spent decades understanding how dimensional rifts worked, studying the infiltrator's technology. And preparing for this exact moment, the array reached into the dimensional rift at the Grand Summit, hundreds of light years away, and pulled. But it wasn't pulling the creature forward into their universe. It was pulling the creature backward through time. The entity in the rift thrashed as it felt itself, being dragged away from their reality. The massive form that had been pushing through suddenly reversed, shrinking back into the dimensional tier. Inside the chamber, the Emperor watched in awe as the impossible happened. What is Marcus doing? Raven Blackwood checked her instruments and her face went pale. He's creating a probability sink. He's pulling that creature toward a timeline where it never evolved. He's not killing it. He's retroactively preventing its birth. That's impossible, a council scientist protested. You can't change the past. You can if you understand probability mechanics better than anyone else in the galaxy, Victoria said quietly. And humanity has been studying it for over a century. The creature screamed again, its voice fading as it was pulled through layers of time and reality. The dimensional rift wavered, destabilized by the looking-glass array's impossible manipulation of causality. And then, with a sound like reality sobbing, the creature vanished completely. The rift sealed. The quantum resonance device shattered, unable to maintain the dimensional tear without its anchor on the other side. Fragments of exotic technology scattered across the chamber floor, now completely inert. Silence fell over the Grand Summit chamber. 3,000 species stared at the place where the rift had been, then at the Earth ships hovering overhead. Then, at Ambassador Victoria Hayes standing calmly among the chaos. Emperor Drathsel stepped forward. His crystalline form covered in dust from the battle. Marcus Webb just rewrote reality to save us. Your species manipulated time itself to stop an invasion from another dimension. Who are you people really? Victoria took a breath and made a decision. The truth was going to come out anyway. Better to control how it was revealed. We're survivors, Emperor. Humanity spent 300,000 years fighting to survive on a hostile world. We killed things bigger and stronger than us by being smarter and more vicious. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times and learned from every mistake. When Project Looking Glass showed us the galaxy 60 years before first contact, we knew we'd be crushed if we arrived unprepared. So we prepared. We sent Marcus Webb to learn everything about you. We built Omega Outpost in secret. We formed alliances before the Council knew we existed. We did whatever it took to ensure our species would survive. She gestured to the Earth soldiers surrounding them, weapons still ready. You asked who we are? We're the species that will do anything to protect our own. We're the ones who look at impossible odds and find a way to win anyway. And we're the ones who just saved every life in this chamber. A representative from the ancient Keltheran species stepped forward. He'd lived for 600 years and seen empires rise and fall. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. I have never been more terrified of a species than I am right now. You didn't just win this battle. You rewrote fundamental laws of physics to win it. You prepared for a threat you saw coming decades before it arrived. You operated in our shadows for a century without anyone noticing. Humanity is either going to be the galaxy's greatest protector or its most dangerous threat. Commander Ortega, standing nearby with his weapons still hot from combat, smiled grimly. Why not both? The vote happened quickly. Species that had been prepared to sanction Earth hours ago now rushed to approve humanity's full admission to the Galactic Council. But more than that, the Council created a new position specifically for Earth: stewardship of dimensional security. With authority to investigate and prevent incursions from other realities, you're making us your hunters, Victoria realized. The species that watches for threats from beyond. You've proven you're the best at it, the Emperor said simply. Over the following weeks, the galaxy adjusted to its new reality. Earth revealed Omega Outpost and Project Looking Glass to the Council. The Shadow Coalition species acknowledged their secret alliance. Dozens of junior infiltrators were identified and removed from positions of power throughout Council space. And Marcus Webb, at 94 years old, finally went home. Victoria visited him at his small house overlooking the Pacific Ocean. He sat on the porch, drinking real coffee for the first time in decades, watching the sunset paint the sky in oranges and reds. You could have stayed in space, Victoria said, sitting beside him. The Council wanted to make you the first director of dimensional security. You'd be the most powerful intelligence officer in the galaxy. Marcus smiled, his weathered face peaceful. I'm 94, Victoria. Even with biological stasis, I'm tired. I did what I set out to do. Humanity survived. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. That's enough for me. Was it worth it? Giving up your entire life? Marcus looked at the sunset, thinking about his wife who died not knowing what happened to him. He thought about the children and grandchildren he never had. He thought about 73 years spent alone among aliens, always watching, never able to truly be himself. I looked at the probability curves, Victoria. Without intervention, 97% chance of extinction. I had theoretical children, theoretical grandchildren, who would never exist if I didn't take this mission. Every day I gathered intelligence, every piece of technology I smuggled, every manipulation I made to steer events in our favor. It was all for them, for all of you. He turned to look at her. So yes, it was worth it. I gotta save the world. How many people can say that? Victoria's communicator chimed. A classified message from the new Dimensional Security Division. Sensors had detected another rift opening at the edge of the galaxy. Something was coming through, and it knew humanity had stopped the first incursion. Marcus saw her expression change. Another threat? Looks that way. Marcus looked at the message, then at the sunset, then back at Victoria. For a moment, she thought he might volunteer to help, but then he smiled and powered down her communicator. Let the next generation handle it. I did my part. Humanity has Omega Outpost, the Looking Glass Array, and the knowledge that we can face anything the universe throws at us. You don't need a 94-year-old man anymore. Victoria stood to leave, but Marcus called after her. Victoria, tell them something for me. Tell them that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our stubbornness. We refuse to accept extinction. We refuse to give up. And we'll fight with everything we have. Sacrifice anything necessary to ensure our species survives. That's what makes us dangerous. That's what makes us valuable. And that's what will keep us alive long after I'm gone. Victoria left Marcus to his sunset. In orbit above Earth, Omega Outpost's lights glittered like a mechanical constellation. The Looking Glass Array hummed with power, already calculating responses to the new threat, and somewhere in the asteroid belt, in secret facilities that even the Council didn't know about yet. Humanity continued, preparing for whatever came next. Marcus Webb had been Earth's ghost in the machine for 73 years. He'd sacrificed his life to ensure humanity's survival. And though he was retiring now, the machine he built would keep protecting humanity for generations to come. The old man sipped his coffee and watched the sun disappear below the horizon. His war was over. Humanity's war was just beginning, and for the first time in 94 years, Marcus Webb felt genuinely at peace.